The man was horrified to discover that he had already spent a harrowing 108 days on Mars. Desperate to send word of his survival back to Earth, he exhausted every effort searching until he finally found Pathfinder, abandoned on Mars since 1997. After more than a decade, he couldn't be certain whether Pathfinder would still function, but determined to return to Earth, the man refused to give up any chance of survival. He connected Pathfinder to a power source and successfully activated the machine that had been dormant for over 10 years. He then aimed the signal receiver at the nearest space station. Soon, staff at Earth Space Center received an alert that Pathfinder had been activated. They could directly synchronize with Pathfinder on Mars. Meanwhile, on Mars, Jack watched as Pathfinder began operating automatically. However, with this old equipment spanning a distance of 65 million kilometers, each message took 30 minutes to transmit between them. This at least confirmed to Jack that he had established contact with Earth's space agency. He immediately returned to the base and found several whiteboards. He wrote simple words on them with a marker, then used a hammer to secure the boards in front of the camera. Half an hour later, Earth's space agency successfully received the images transmitted from Mars. The results thrilled them. Although they could only communicate with Jack by rotating the camera, at least they had established a connection. To enable more effective communication, Jack devised a hexadecimal system. He drew a circle around Pathfinder and placed signs at regular intervals, with each sign representing a letter. The space agency replicated the same setup. This way, they could rotate the camera to point at corresponding letters, which Jack would record and decode to understand their messages. However, this time-consuming method allowed them to exchange only one sentence. The space agency's think tank quickly developed a solution. Over several days, they taught Jack how to hack Pathfinder's code and connect its communication system to the rover. This enabled the agency to communicate seamlessly with Jack through the rover, drawing all the agency's staff to witness the breakthrough. Jack's resourcefulness left them in awe, but they had to deliver devastating news. He would need to survive alone on Mars for 4 years. Only then could they launch the Ares 4 mission to bring him home. Fortunately, Jack had stored enough potatoes. The nutrition from the potatoes could barely sustain him for a year. Once the space agency built a rocket to deliver supplies, he could endure the 4 years. But events didn't unfold as planned. That evening, when Jack entered the laboratory, the airlock suddenly malfunctioned. The lab had been compromised at some point, creating a pressure differential between inside and outside. The laboratory exploded violently. When the explosion ended, his spacesuit's visor was shattered. As Jack had mentioned during his first crisis, no one could survive more than a minute exposed to Mars's low-pressure environment. Upon discovering the cracked visor, he immediately grabbed duct tape and sealed the damaged area. He then rushed to the potato greenhouse. The potatoes, now exposed to the low-pressure environment combined with nighttime temperatures of minus 60 to 70 degrees, had all frozen to death. All 400 plants without exception. Jack's spirits plummeted. He fell into utter despair. He couldn't understand why, when he was already facing such terrible odds. Even his last hope for survival had to be stripped away.